It's going to be an informative lesson today, kind of direct and informational, if you will. And the name and title of today's lesson, thank you, bro, is Sons. Excuse me, sorry. The title of our lesson, Sons of Belial. Sons of Belial, right? Belial. And you'll hear different pronunciations. Baal. But yeah, that's the title of our lesson today, right? And we're going to kind of go into some information concerning the sons of Belial, and who they are, their origin, of where they came from. And to be clear, we're speaking in particular to the giants or Nephilim of this earth, right? Where, as the scriptures speak of, we all are familiar with some of the popularized stories of, David and Goliath and slaying giant with a stone. These stories exist in the scriptures concerning giants. That's one that is kind of popular among, the majority. But these giants are written of throughout the scriptures, and us doing battle and such with them. So we're going to go into a bit and touch on their origin, who they are, where they came from, and what are they. What are they doing, and and what brought them into existence? All of that. All right. Sons of Belial. Through many times in history, throughout several different doctrines, it has been taught that the sons of God who came down and slept with the daughters of men were actually the sons of Seth. Right. The confusion of saying, that they were the sons of Seth. Speaking of the sons of God, right? When the scripture speaks of the son of God. And we're going to get clarity on what that is. But there's some discrepancies, depending on the breakdown or who you hear speak of it. We're going to go into scriptures and get understanding on who they are. So the question is this true? Are they the sons of Seth? Or is there a purposed cover-up due to several factions of Christian leaders actually worshiping these fallen entities? Because what we're going to see and find out is that's exactly the case. These are fallen entities that are now being worshipped, and spirits that are being worshipped through idolatry, through different forms of religion, and all of this hidden. Because they're not being seen for exactly what they are, but are being hidden. Like when we look at all of these different religions that we look at, I tell you one that really sticks out and stands out, but it isn't singled out. The Catholic Church, how they deal with so much idolatry, from the rosary beads to their crosses, to all of the little figurines and saints in particular that they reverence. I had some individual and personal experience concerning some of these saints, quote unquote saints, if you will, that are named and have all of them are allotted particular powers. Like they're known for this power. This is Saint, just for sake of example, Saint Nicholas. This isn't particular, I don't know what Saint Nicholas necessarily supposedly powers or things that he holds, but Saint Nicholas, is the one you call to protect your baby and when you're pregnant.
Well, the saint that Nicholas like criminals.
Oh yeah, it's La Muerta. There's a saint in particular, the dead, the saint of the dead, La Muerta. He's saying where there are people who worship this saint. You probably seen the Grim Reaper looking guy. You see him on candles and different things, and people worshiping this man as saint. These are this is what we're about to go into. These different spirits that are implanted into idols that we then worship. I mean, it's as far-fetched as this sounds, it is very prominent. Like, it is very prominent. I know people personally who call on these saints, call on these spirits, and see them move throughout their house and feed them. Like, there's stuff happening. These are these spirits that we're about to deal with. Where are they? Who are these sons of God? What is being hidden? What we need to know concerning them. Let's start in Genesis chapter 6. There's a reason that they're being hid. There's a reason, there doesn't want to be a discussion about what's going on. There's a reason why these preposterous and disordinate sized skulls and large skeletons are being found, and it's being written off as, anything but the truth of these fallen angels and their sin and iniquity that they brought forth. They name anything but what is. It's not true. That picture isn't real. It's fake. Somebody doctored that. It's Photoshop. It's the Neanderthal from man evolving. We used to be like an ape. So that huge man, we evolved into not having to be as huge because we got smarter now. So we don't have to break limbs, and run and chase the deer and catch it with our hands no more because we, gunpowder and guns, all these different things to explain away the facts. What's wrong with just dealing with what the truth is for what it is? Why we hiding this? Genesis chapter 6, and we're going to start at verse 1.
Genesis 6:1. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose.
And it came to pass when men, like me and you, began to multiply on the face of the earth, and their daughters were born unto them. They procreated and had daughters. That the sons of God, this is one of the things that's in question. Who are the sons of God? And some will say these are just other men. Sons of God saw the daughters of men, right? Sons of God saw daughters of men. There's a differential right there. But we're going to get clarity on understanding this. But this sets it apart right there, where you have not other men saw other men's daughters, but sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, attracted to them, and they took them as wives, all which they chose. So they chose from amongst who they thought was fair and took as wives these people. Go ahead. These sons of God.
And the Most High said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. Verse 4. There were giants in the earth in those days.
There were giants in the earth in those days.
And also after that, when the sons of the Most High came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them.
So you see, he's even distinguishing these separation, the sons of God bearing children with them. We're already speaking of men multiplying. We were just reading in the first verse, men multiplying and having daughters. We're here speaking of the sons of God. Right? The sons of God came unto the daughters of men. and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. They became mighty men. All right, this is speaking to, and I don't want to just proclaim it from just what I understand and believe. We're going to get the understanding concerning the scriptures, but this mighty men is referring to giants bearing inordinate sized beings due to what we're going to find out, fallen angels, the sons of God, sleeping with daughters of men, women. All right, that's what this is talking about. So we do find it plain to see here that there's no mention of the sons of Seth here. No, we have the sons of God, and it also says their union with women created giants. Where is that connection with all of a sudden two men? I'm sorry, excuse me. Meaning men, as in us, as a layman in layman's terms, man and a woman, the sons of men, regular men, sleeping with the sons of daughters, and a new creation being brought forth. Some mighty men of giants and valor and renown. That's because that's not what happened. Okay, so let us look at some precepts in addressing the sons of God. So it doesn't have to come from my opinion. Let's get the precepts and understand and address who these sons of God are. Let's start by going to Job. Yeah, we're going to go to Job, the first chapter, and this verse, we will start at the 6th verse.
Job chapter 1, verse 6. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Most High, and Satan came also among them.
Okay, so the sons of God, there's that we're referring to the same sons of God we read of in Genesis, presented themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. Go ahead.
Verse 7. And the Most High said unto Satan, Whence cometh thou? Then Satan answered the Most High and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it.
Okay, so when we look at this and see the sons of God presenting themselves before the Most High along with Satan, this is, a level of understanding or a clue or a piece of information in, starting to, process of eliminate possibilities. We know that as men, we don't have the capability to be before the Most High in His realm, outside of this realm on earth, right? And also this is a good opportunity to kind of shut down some other doctrines that are out there where it's prevalent amongst us as Hebrews. That's the white man is Satan. Right? Here again, Satan is also is with the sons of God, and again, men do not have that capability. White man is not Satan, nor should that be any type of opportunity or topic to build a doctrine on top of anyway. Christ's doctrine is not a doctrine of hate. All right, I just wanted to put that out there. So, we know that, of course, this isn't speaking of the white man. That is why it tells you that Enoch had to be translated and changed when he was taken up into the heavens. Because man can't do that. Enoch was able to do that because he was translated. And I don't want to kind of get too sidetracked off into other things. I want to stay focused, but, that is an example. And we will be reading from the Book of Enoch as well. So he was the only man recorded to have been translated into the heavenly realm before Job. Obviously, these sons of God in the context were angelic in nature. So we're going to stay there in Job, and we're going to go to the 38th chapter. Okay, so we have the sons of God moving back and forth in and out of different realms. Something that us as man do not have access or ability to do. We're going to Job 38, and we'll start at the 4th verse.
Job 38, verse 4. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare, if thou hast understanding. Who has laid the measures thereof, if thou knowest? Or who has stretched the line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? Or who laid the cornerstone thereof? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy.
Okay. So here it is again. Here's the Most High going into and showing, like, who knows of my majesty and my greatness, and who was present to be privy to this knowledge and information of me laying the cornerstone. And he references the sons of God. He says, when the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy, speaking in that time of creation and in the heavenly realms, where it's talking about the morning stars singing together and the sons of God shouted for joy. It's starting to become more clear that we're talking about an angelic form, right? The men were not in the heavenly realm singing to the Most High during creation. The sons of Seth weren't present for that. So this is more proof. The sons of God are another name for angels. That's what we're speaking of when we go into the sons of God. It's referring to angels, and we're going to get more on that. In this context in Scripture, there were no men created before the foundations of the earth existed. These angels which came down to the earth and had intercourse with daughters of men are recorded in the New Testament as well. Let's go ahead and get that in 2 Peter. And yeah, that is what happened. As we know, they took them as wives. They reproduced something that was unnatural and an abomination, a sin, absolute iniquity. So we're going to 2 Peter chapter 2. We'll start at verse 4.
2 Peter 2 and 4. For if the Most High spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment.
Right. Here it again, the sinning, the angels sinning. Just more proof to that. The angels can sin. The angels have sinned. I know we always are in the mindset of the modern day in television or movies, and angels is this white, glorious, being that they're only in a level of perfection. Well, newsflash, the angels have sinned. That this whether it's been put out there for us to understand and receive, that we're reading it right here, and they have judgment. Verse 5.
And spared not the old world, but saved Noah, the eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly.
Right. So read verse 5 again.
And spared not the old world, but saved Noah, the eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly.
That's right. Let's get Jude. Go to the book of Jude, and we'll go to the first chapter. Saying even in 2, where we were reading there in 2 Peter, It's saying they didn't spare the old world. You see that? Where their sin wasn't effectively spoiled or brought sin upon the old world. Spared not the angels that sinned. So this is showing even how, and it's directly correlated to what we just read, them taking and in sin the men of the daughters of men in unrighteousness, sparing not the old world, but sin, right? But has cast them to hell and delivered them up. And then it goes into sparing Noah, the eighth person, to start afresh and anew from the sin that was brought forth because of the destruction that was brought forth in the old world due to the sin of the sons of God, right? The angels. Because you have to understand, and we'll read it as we go, these giants went on to bring destruction to the earth, to destroy and to do battle against man, and to increase sin, and to teach higher knowledge and levels of information that was unbeknownst and unknown to us as man, teaching them magic and roots and spells and how to use nature wickedly, all of these things. So that's what it's speaking about here. Spare not the old world. That's why the Most High had to come in, because there was so much sin, and allow Noah to see his judgment coming, to prepare for him, to prepare for this judgment, to start anew through the cleansing of the flood, right? So we're in Jude, and we're going to start in the first chapter, in the 6th verse.
Jude, chapter 1, verse 6. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation.
They kept not their first estate where they were, right? But left where they lived, their habitat, where they were, right?
And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he had reserved in everlasting chains under darkness into the judgment of the great day.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 13.
Yes. I'm sorry. Go down to verse 13, please.
Raging waves of the sea, foaming out their own shame, wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever.
Mm-hmm. Raging waves of the sea, foaming out their own shame. Wandering stars. That's the habitation when we see them in the heavens and in the skies, the stars, and when we see them falling. These are those angelic forms. Wandering stars, to whom is reserved the darkness, the blackness of darkness forever. Verse 14.
Verse 14. Can I add something on that one?
Yes, please do.
When you break down wandering stars in the Greek, the word for it is planetes, which is where we get planets from, the word planet. So it just brings light to the fact that when we look out into the stars at night and we see all of these stars, mm-hmm. and we see they call the planets, they look like lights in the sky as well. They're stars, mm-hmm. and then they went as far as even to name them after God, after the gods: Neptune, Mars, Saturn, Jupiter. They're named after their gods because even though they're telling us these are planets, they know full well what's going on. This is another huge part of the deception, where they want to put it out there. I was just seeing something here recently, where they're saying they just realized something even further than the galaxies that they already know of, right? Where they realize, somebody please help me understand how they figure all this out. What did we just read? Who was there when I laid the cornerstone? Somebody please help me. But anyway, they decided, outside of this huge understanding that they already
pretend to have, that they have went way light years, eons, and all these words they figure out super fast, vapor speed to somewhere else, and they see a whole nother. Oh no. Yeah, like a whole, and it's like it's so many hundreds of more planets, and there's this much possibility of how much life's on them. Like they're putting this whole brand new thing out here now, and it was all coupled in this. As a matter of fact, I saw it on PBS like a couple nights ago. It was all coupled with this whole new, brand new understand. It was coupled with a show speaking of evolution and showing. And it was they specifically spoke on how this whole crazy idea of God creating everything is no way it can be true. I mean, and that's what I'm getting at is this is the whole reasons behind the way they push these things. They're trying to diminish and minimize and totally remove the factor of Most High God and His creation. And that there's so much more above and beyond our minds we don't understand. There's people all over all kind of planets right now that you just don't know. And they're living and we never know what's going on. No, that's not what's going on. Where in this book is it talking about there being rocks of planets? We see where it's correlating directly to. Wandering stars, angelic forms, the angels, watchers. Just how like they put in their places and rotate these satellites in the exact same rotation of some of those same fallen angels. Who know that was their habitation. We just read it. They left it. They know the Most High put them in place and in circulation to watch. And now they, it's funny, they correlate so much of what they do and hide it because we're so. So many of us just don't have any a clue of what's really happening. But they name these things, the company that deals with that, digital angels. All this right up under our noses. They know and understand what's going on. They're naming their gods out in the sky as they reverence them and build things to admire and watch them and have people setting their mind and eyes on the constellations and people worship this whole zone like you wouldn't believe. That's why this guy has to be brought out. That's why we have to discuss this. Because we're going to read, that's one of the things also that they brought to man. The study and the admiration and the worship of the constellations. What's that called? The month you're in and all that. What is that? It's astrology. Our signs. They brought that information to us. When Most High is telling us whatever type of information is attached to that, the Most High told us don't deal with it. There's it's not for us. But these are things that they brought, this knowledge to us, to sin us, to have us sin. Like I said, you didn't spare the old world. You took the women in sin. You shared all these unrighteous things. You destroyed. You created things that were unnatural. We're going to get into all of that. Where did you leave? Did you finish Jude 1 and 15?
I stopped at verse 14.
Okay.
Verse 14. And Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, Behold, the Lord cometh with 10,000 of his saints, to execute judgment upon all, and to convince all that are ungodly among them of all their ungodly deeds which they have ungodly committed, and of all their hard speeches which ungodly sinners have spoken against him.
Right. So, again, speaking to this all being hid and tucked away and not spoken of and different deceptions concerning it, the Book of Enoch is referenced right here in our Bible, and yet it's been kept from the general masses by the Christian authorities as well as other religious doctrinal teachings. Let's look into the Book of Enoch to see what the disciples were talking about, because I'm sure they're not just crazy and making these things up. Let's get some more understanding. We're going to go into the Book of Enoch to get a more in-depth understanding concerning some of these things we're reading of in the Bible. And we'll start in the Book of Enoch, chapter 6, and we'll start right there at verse 1.
Enoch chapter 6, verse 1. And came to pass when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of the heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children.
Okay, do we see that? Do we see that direct correlation and similarities to what we just read in Genesis chapter 6? It says we have children of men who multiplied and had beautiful daughters. And then we go on, the children of the heaven, you know, as it was referred to, as we just read in Genesis, the sons of God, the children of the heavens, lusted after them and came and took them as their own and had children with them. Right? You go ahead and jump down to verse 6.
Enoch chapter 6, verse 6. And they were in all 200 who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon. And they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it.
Right. So they descended. They came down to a mountain. A man isn't going to come down to a mountain, right? This is descension from the heavens. These are angelic forms. Again, let's go to right there in the Book of Enoch. We'll go ahead and move to chapter 7, starting at verse 1.
Can I add one thing on that?
Yes, sir, please do.
The name Jared actually means, it says, and they were in all 200 who descended in the days of Jared. He was named Jared because his name means to descend or descent. So we know that in our culture, we were named according to relevant situations we were born into or a purpose that we were born for. And Jared was born in the time of the descent of the angels, so he was named accordingly.
This is descending from the heavens. These are the angels. All right, we're at chapter 7, right? Starting at verse 1, the Book of Enoch.
Enoch chapter 7, verse 1. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one. And they began to go in unto them, and to defile themselves with them. And they taught them charms and enchantments, and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants.
You see that? This is where they started to introduce and bring sin amongst us. Charms, enchantments, magics, and potions, and tricks, and roots, and the plants, you know, and how to, you know, use them perversely, you know, whether it be drugs or whatever it is, all that. Go ahead.
Verse 2. And they became pregnant, and they bare great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells, consumed all the acquisitions of men. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind.
Right. You see that? That was the sin that was running rampant. They had turned against the men. You know, they are taking their women. They're turning against them and devouring and destroying. They were doing all of this. They devoured mankind. Read.
Verse 5. And they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh and drink the blood.
Now, this, you know, as we know as well, as these different skeletons and large bones, bodies are being dug up, they run into another problem that they have to explain away. These inordinate, crazy animals, these dinosaurs, where they have to come up with a whole. I mean, they have built an entire curriculum. And just imaginatively came up with an entire idea of the space of time and where these jokers came from and how they have totally disappeared all of a sudden. This is what we're reading of right here. They began to sin against the birds and the beasts and the reptiles and the fish, mingling and tangling and splicing of DNAs and intermarrying and creating, getting creative on how to devour and destroy the Most High's creation. All these huge Tyrannosaurus Rexes with large mouths and just chomping and eating up people and just total sin. That's not what the Most High intended or created the earth and mankind for. Mankind was to be over the head and to be rulers of the earth, not and have dominion. So now this is the sin that these sons of men and their offspring are bringing into the earth: enchantment, magic, creating other destructive pieces of and animals and creations to destruct and devour. It was brought to my attention. My brother was telling me that there is a and there's plenty more, but there's a recent article where I guess they have found, looks like you have it right there, right? Mm-hmm. They have found, I wouldn't be surprised if they had, but they found where there is chicken DNA within the DNA of the Tyrannosaurus Rex bones. This is ABC News. Do you have anything you want to?
Well, the article is called T-Rex Was Chicken, Ancestor, that is.
This is ABC News, mainstream news. Yeah. These are the scientists coming out and saying, through our high levels of technology and DNA that we can do and manipulate, we see that there is chicken in this dinosaur. And what we just reading? They sinned against the birds and the beasts and the reptiles and the fish. This is why the Most High had to come and cleanse the earth. Sin was crazy. And you know what? As the scriptures tell us, so is this time. This will be as in the days of Noah, his second coming. They're doing it all over again. They have been doing it, and they are multiplying up on what they've done before and have been doing now. Matter of fact, there is another article. Matter of fact, I just saw it, I think it's an article that I ran across because Elder Ricard favored it. So some of you may have seen it. If not, you can go and see it. It'll be there on YouTube, where they are open. I mean, they've been doing this today, but there's a new article, and I would say it's a mainstream article, where they are talking about, like, their scientists are glorifying and saying how they are taking, and I'm going to try to, they're taking the DNA and the embryos of humans and implanting them into the seeds and the embryos of animals that are days old, and then put them back inside the womb of the animal. They are telling us this. This is like news, like real mainstream information. Look at how great our technology is. This is what we're doing, and I'm pretty positive that's where I saw that, and Elder Ricard favored it that. So check it out. I mean, this is what we're reading it right now. This is not a far-fetched idea. It's happening right As we are sitting here right now, this is happening in labs right now.
What are they doing that they not telling us?
What is going on? What kind of beasts and things do they have in places all around here? And they dealing with the Most High's creation, human beings. That's where they devouring man, and through sin and every other kind of way. What kind of business is that? You taking the Most High's creation, sticking it in an embryo with an animal, and sewing it back up in an animal's womb? And we wonder, and we confuse or can't understand why the Most High is about to bring judgment down. How much more can He let this go? That's what's going on, and that's what doesn't want to be brought out. That's why they are dinosaurs from the Ice Age that predates man, and that was just what lived. And then the Ice Age came and wiped it all out because the earth got too far from the sun, so it got too cold here. They all died, and then over time and evolution, we just began to revitalize some level of life from some speck of molecule that just evolved over millions upon millions of years, and here we are. Those poor apes, they haven't gotten, they'll get there. They're working on it. Come on, man. They're on their way to this state. It'll be this within, what, 3 million years, give or take, right?
A couple million.
Whew. Come on, man. And we eating this up. We buying all this.
Taught it as children.
Man, it's systematic. It's a place. It's in all the institutions. You're not, and that's the way that, when we have been lost and put in the possession into the hands of these people, these are the things that they have been indoctrinating and teaching us from children. As we watch it, I see my daughters, the cartoons and things that they want to show them. It's full of the dinosaurs. It's full of the enchantments and the magic.
The men of renown.
The men of renown. The guys, they're gods. These big giants are running around all over their TV screens. The mutants. Man, you cannot watch a TV show without somebody pulling a wand out their back pocket. Bling! We gotta fix the wings on everything is a fairy and a witch. And my children are like, but Daddy, that's a good witch. I'm like, baby, and that's what they tell them. That's what they're teaching them. It's good magic, and that's the evil magic over there. We're gonna go get them with our good magic, baby. There is no good magic. It's all evil. That's why it's hid. Because they want this, they want to usher this right into our living rooms, into our homes, and into our hearts, and to our children, where we're then worshiping their gods. Unknowingly worshiping their gods. Jesus, Mr. Zeus, all of them. Are we at chapter 8?
Yes.
Chapter 8. We're still in the book of Enoch. And we're at chapter 8. And we'll start at verse 1.
Enoch chapter 8, verse 1. And Azazel taught men to make swords, and knives, and shields, and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth.
Preparing them to do battle amongst themselves, starting war. Get out every type of form of confusion and mischief we could think of. Look who implanted it and got it going. Go ahead.
And the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of anatomy, and the beautifying of the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones, and all coloring tinctures.
Yeah, this is talking about, we know what it's talking about. Beautifying of eyelids, costly stones, and arraying ourselves and putting ourselves up as idols. Just, every form of sin, all these different things that we look at and see today. Go ahead.
Verse 2. And there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray, and became corrupt in all their ways. Semjaza taught enchantments and root cuttings. Armoros, the resolving of enchantments. Barakihal taught astrology. Okabal, the constellations. Ezekiel, the knowledge of the clouds. Arakil, the signs of the earth. Shamsil, the signs of the sun. Sario, the course of the moon. And as men perished, they cried, and their cry went up to heaven.
So we see all these particular things, and you see I was speaking on those different spirits, those particular saints, and how they deal with different things, and people call on them for a particular situation. These are them. And believe it or not, they pray these spirits particularly into the particular idols as they disperse them amongst us. They do. You know, as especially when I, we see and we go in these different places and we see all these candles. You know, a lot of times we'll see it amongst Issachar and the Catholic Church, period. But, and they have these different saints on each candle, and they're all particular. And you'll come in and shop for the saint that you need.
The cards.
Where is the cards? I need this guy, because I got to deal with so-and-so in my house. And this is the idolatry that they have us attached to and worshiping and calling on and totally entrenched. Coins, I mean, it goes on. Any and everything, to actual dolls, to pictures, to the candles, to trinkets, bracelets. You can't limit the things, the little trinkets and idols that are used, that are then attached to, and these spirits are actually invoked into these pieces. Okay, understand that. There's a reason the Most High told us not to deal with idols. It wasn't just because. It's the reason he said don't take stones and hew them and make something for yourself. Whether we understand it or not, it's a reason. Because you're going to be dealing with something. You're going to start worshiping something. And you're going to be worshiping some spirit that's connected to it, whether you know or not, unawares. You worshiping something else, and you're allowing something else to come amongst you, yourself, and your family, and to deal amongst you. What did you say?
It says it taught them bracelets and ornaments, and that goes right into the rosary.
Yeah, I mean, on all those bracelets, I'm telling you what I know. I'm speaking exact experience. Bracelets, necklaces, decorations. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to go extreme. Like, we can't decorate our homes. I don't want to be confused. But a lot of these things are particularly, we know what they are. These different things that are particularly made as idols and symbolic. That's what I'm talking about. I saw one time somebody accidentally dropped and broke some type of something. And then man, I wish I could remember. But on the inside, it was some.
I remember.
It was a whole nother.
It was some kind of statue
of Mary and Jesus or something on the inside of this, and they were like, "What is this doing here?" It had the whole Mary, the whole virgin birth scenario, holding a little baby, and it was something totally unrelated. And they accidentally broke something and found this form.
It was like a yard dwarf. You know how you had a little.
I think that's what it was, a nymph or whatever they call them things. And they broke it on accident, and then they like, look what was inside of this. Like, this stuff is on a big level. I'm gonna move on, but like in the manufacturing and all of this is what's going on. Like, this is warfare, sending these things out, right? We're at chapter 10, right? Mm-hmm. Chapter 10, we'll start at verse 1. I'll pick things up so we don't run out of time.
Then said the Most High, the Holy and Great One spake, and sent Uriel to the son of Lamech, and said to him, Go to Noah and tell him in my name, hide thyself, and revealed to him the end that is approaching, that the whole earth will be destroyed, and a deluge is about to come upon the whole earth, and will destroy all that is on it.
Now we know why now, right? As we read this, we understand it wasn't just, oh, it's time for a big flood. You know, it's a reason that the Most High went and spoke to Noah and said, hey, this is what's going on. All this is, go hide yourself and your family. Go take care and prepare. This is what I'm bringing. This is what I need you to do. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And now instruct him that he may escape, and his seed may be preserved for all the generations of the world. Verse 4. And again the Most High said to Raphael, bind Azazel.
Excuse me, and I want to make a point too, with everything going on, and with this, the whole host of hiding things, and with all their ideas and all their technology and the way they're able to see everything and dig up bones, check the DNA, and explain away the truth. Where is the information concerning the flood? Because I want you all to know, it is very evident that there was a flood around the whole earth. Do some research. It ain't hard to find. Every civilization and every piece of this earth, there's writings and documentation of this flood. There's evidence of erosion. There is a lot of evidence of the flood. It's not a mystical fantasy idea of a story. It's factual history. The whole earth flooded. They can come up with ice ages, millions upon hundreds of thousands of millions of years, and understand galaxies from here to there, back and forth, and how many planets and the populations of each city or everywhere else they go. Why can't nobody bring forth this understanding on the flood? It's very prevalent. It's there. It's there. I'm telling you. You don't have to be a PhD to find it and understand it. All the information is out there. Yeah. The known world. It was bottled up, you know. These invisible walls held it in place. The whole earth flooded. Where we at?
Verse 4.
Verse 4.
And again the Most High said to Raphael, bind Azazel hand and foot, and cast him into the darkness, and make an opening in the desert, which is in Belial, and cast him therein, and place upon him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there forever, and cover his face that he may not see light.
This is the judgment of some of these fallen angels from the evil and wickedness they've done and brought to mankind. Go ahead.
And on the day of the great judgment he shall be cast into the fire, and heal the earth which the angels have corrupted, and proclaim the healing of the earth, that they may heal the plague, and that all the children of men may not perish through all the secret things that the watchers have disclosed and have taught their sons.
Right, through all these secret things. These things are still being kept secret from the things that the watchers, those that have fallen from their habitations, the watchers in the skies, the stars, that they have disclosed to their sons, right? The Father chose Noah to continue his righteous seed and destroy the rest of the earth due to the perversities which had come upon it. He then began to bind the fallen angels that had left their first heavenly estate and slept with women. Let's get Baruch, chapter 3, verse 26.
Baruch chapter 3, verse 26. There were the giants, famous from the beginning, that were of so great stature and so expert in war. Those did not the Most High choose, neither gave he the way of knowledge unto them. But they were destroyed because they had no wisdom, and perished through their own foolishness.
So there were these giants, great in stature, That's what we find that's what we see that the archaeologists are finding, digging up. It's not Photoshop. Some may be, all are not. There were giants, and that dare to say there are giants. Yeah. My brother just sent me a video not too long ago of a modern day woman down in Brazil. Oh, she had to be 10 feet
she was
tall. But that's just one. There are,
Japanese dude.
in Japan, right here in the States, where you have these huge beings who are descendants of these same things that we're speaking of today. So the giants were extraordinary in height and strength, yet they were not chosen nor created by the Father. With all their strength and might, that's why the Most High destroyed them.
I think it's interesting since you say that that's why height is always worship. Every time you see somebody walking around, it's tall, like all the
Oh yeah, you're right. And that's what he's saying. They were famous from the beginning. They were giants and famous, They were powerful. They had great stature. They taught all this. They had all this information. They were teaching all this wickedness, things that was unknown to man. Let's go to Amos. We're going to go to the second chapter in Amos, and we'll start at verse 9, the book of Amos.
Amos chapter 2, verse 9. Yet destroyed I the Amorite before them, whose height was like the height of the cedars, and he was strong as the oaks. Yet I destroyed his fruit from above, and his root from beneath.
So the height of the cedar trees, right? So, a lot of times we'll read this right along in Bible and won't understand, like when it's speaking of, and we hear the Amorites spoken of throughout the Bible. These were giants. Go ahead.
Also I brought you up from the land of Egypt and led you 40 years to the wilderness to possess the land of the Amorite.
All right. Let's go ahead and get going to the book of Jasher. The book of Jasher, the chapter 85, verse 15. Book of Jasher, chapter 85, starting at verse 15.
The book of Jasher, chapter 85, verse 15. So Sion collected all the people of the Amorites and went forth into the wilderness to meet the children of Israel.
These are those giants, right? Go ahead.
And he fought against Israel in Jahaz. And the Lord delivered Sion, king of the Amorites, into the hand of the children of Israel. And Israel smote all the people of Sion with the edge of the sword, and avenged the cause of Moab.
So here's the Most High on behalf of Israel, and being their might and their power, and whether they were giants or not, the Most High allowed Israel to deal with them, right? And took their land. Let's go. You can hold that in Jasher, but we're gonna jump in and go to Deuteronomy. We're gonna bounce right back to Jasher, but let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 1.
Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 1. And Moses went and spake these words unto all Israel. And he said unto them, I am 120 years old this day. I can do no more. Go out and come in. Also the Most High has said unto me, Thou shalt not go over this Jordan. The Most High thy power, he will go over before thee, And he will destroy these nations from before thee, and thou shalt possess them. And Joshua, he shall go over before thee, as the Most High has said. And the Most High shall do unto them as he did to Sihon, and to Og, king of the Amorites, and unto the land of them whom he destroyed.
Right. So, and the Lord shall do unto them as he did to Sihon, as we just read in the book of Jasher, and as we did to the king of to Og, king of Amorites. These are the giants. So this is when Israel was going in to possess the land of Canaan, their land, their promised land, those that they were in battle with and removing from their land were giants. And the Most High battled on their behalf. So let's go back to Jasher, and you see that Jasher and the Bible are totally in sync and cooperate perfectly. All right, the book of Jasher, chapter 85. Go back to the 85 and start at 22.
Jasher 85 and 22. And Og, king of Bashan, was a very powerful man. But Naaron, his son, was exceedingly powerful, even stronger than he was. And Og said in his heart, Behold, now the whole camp of Israel takes up a space of 3 parsa. Now will I smite them at once without sword or spear. Mm-hmm. And Og went up to Mount Jahaz and took up therefrom one large stone.
So you've got one of these giants looking to destroy the nation of Israel, saying that they're all there within this one large area. He said, so let's take advantage of this time. I'm going to try to destroy them right now without a spear or sword and get this over with. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 24. And Og went up Mount Jahaz and took therefrom one large stone, the length of which was 3 parsa. And he placed it on his head, and resolved to throw it upon the camp of the children of Israel, to smite all the Israelites with that stone. And the angel of the Most High came and pierced the stone upon the head of Og, and the stone fell upon the neck of Og, that Og fell to the earth on account of the weight of the stone upon his neck.
So the angel struck the stone to where it then fell and destroyed this giant Og, versus him using it against the children of Israel. What is that? Do you know that statue or that symbol? You know where they have? Is it Atlas? Yeah, that's in reverence to their God and to Him,
Which is what the earth stands on, is the Atlas.
right? Exactly, which is what the word earth spins on, and the name that they gave it is the Atlas, their God.
The book of Jasher.
Oh, 85. 85 verse 28 or verse 26. It's chapter 85. I'll show you. It kind of reads different. It just goes straight through. Yeah, I'll show it to you later. It does read a little bit different, the book of Jasher. But yeah, so you see how they reverence their gods right in our faces, from naming them in the skies, Jupiter, and to, putting their images right before us for us to revere. That's why this has to be brought forth. That's why we have to have an understanding concerning these things. Where did you leave? You looking up something?
Well, I was just going to say the scripture speaks of be aware not to worship angels unknowingly. Mm-hmm. And that's what they have put upon us in our ignorance, is that every day, days, the months are named after these things.
Nike. You name it.
Oh, there's a shoe called Osiris.
Giants. It's just all around us, this symbolism and these words and references to their gods that we are looked and we reverence without knowing. All that. Mount Hermon. That's right. That's what that is. We just read about it. Them ascending and coming down to do sin. That's what that is. You know where we left off?
Verse 26.
All right.
Verse Jasher 85 and 26. At that time the Most High said to the children of Israel, be not afraid of him, for I have given him and all his people and all his land unto your hand, and you shall do to them as you did to Sion. Verse 27. And Moses went down to him with a small number of the children of Israel, and Moses smote Og with a stick at the ankle of his feet and slew him. The children of Israel afterward pursued the children of Og and all his people, and they beat and destroyed them till there was no remnant left of them.
All right, let's get Deuteronomy chapter 3. Deuteronomy chapter 3, verse 11.
Deuteronomy 3 and 11. For only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the remnant of giants. Behold, his bedstead was a bedstead of iron. Is it not in Rabath of the children of Ammon? 9 cubits was the length thereof, and 4 cubits the breadth of it, after the cubit of a man.
Okay, so his bedstead or coffin, that's what it's talking about, where he was laid to rest, was about 13 or 14 feet in length and 6 feet in width. The depth of the coffin is unknown, as also the condition of how he was placed in it, but it gives us a good idea of how massive he was. He is said to have survived the flood through old legends of him, hence the statement, only he remained of the giants. There were several giants after his death, lesser in size, for example, Goliath. Such immense size and strength, yet the Father delivered him into our hands, and he was put to death. It is not obvious why we are under, is it not obvious why we are under a curse? What more could the Father have done for us? You know, we have the Father here taking out these things before us. I mean, let alone what happened in Egypt and him showing his power. Here he is taking down nations of giants, of mighty men of valor, the Most High dropping them right before us, where we, slewing them from left and right and walking up into their crib and sitting back and chilling. This is ours. What more could the Father do? And here we are falling away again from him. But you know what? Here we are today returning to our Father. And we have to know and understand this is ours. And that's our strength. Him. Right? Let's get Psalms chapter 82. Psalms 82.
Psalms 82, verse 5.
Psalms 82, yeah, and we'll start at verse 5.
They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. But ye shall die like men, and fall like one of the princes.
So we are the Father's battle axe, and yet we do wickedly. So the judgment on us is to die like mortal men and not live eternally. Let's get Jeremiah. We'll go to Jeremiah chapter 51. Jeremiah chapter 51, and we will start at verse 19.
Jeremiah 51 and 19.
And I know our children have joined us. So children, we're still in the middle of the lesson, so listen up. We're reading our history here in the Bible. All right? So we're in Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 19.
Jeremiah 51 and 19. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Most High of hosts is his name.
Israel is the rod of his inheritance. Go ahead.
Verse 20. Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. For with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee I will destroy kingdoms.
Through us, with us, him as our power, us as his battle axe. Go ahead.
Verse 21. And with thee will I break in pieces the horse and his rider, and with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider.
With us, he will break these things. Understand, we were created to judge the earth and bring forth the law, but we choose to follow the other nations in foolishness. We were the Most High created us, and we were created to do these things, to rule and judge the earth, to bring forth the law and understanding. Where we fall aside from is in our disobedience. All right, let's get 2 Samuel. We keep things moving here. We're getting just have a few more scriptures. We're going to go to 2 Samuel, chapter 21. Second Samuel chapter 21, and we'll start at verse 20.
2 Samuel 21, verse 20. And there was yet a battle in Gad, where was a man of great stature, that had on every hand 6 fingers, and on every foot 6 toes, 24 in number. He also was born to the giant.
So we see that, right? And I'm looking at an article right here where we have families, lineage and generations where this characteristic continues, and it's not isolated to this one article, where we have generations of families throughout ages where they have 6 digits on their hands and on their feet. Matter of fact, Andre the Giant, he had 6 digits. It's that huge guy, the wrestler. Yep, Andre the Giant. And I'm looking at it, and you know, these just to bring some clarity and some, poignancy to this information. These things that we read are factual and truth. These giants did exist, and their families and lineage continue today. Let's get Wisdom of Solomon. Yeah, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 6.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 6. For in the old time also, when the proud giants perished, the hope of the world governed by thy hand escaped in a weak vessel, and left to all ages a seed of generation.
Speaking right to what I was just saying, the hope of the world governed by thy hand escaped. That hope escaped in a weak vessel, and left to all ages a seed of generations. So where I'm saying this seed is in the earth still today. So what happened to the giants when they perished, being half man? Let's get into see what happened to them. We're going to go back to Enoch, the Book of Enoch, chapter 15, to see who they are today and what happened to them, to the giants when they perished, being half man and half angel. We understand the judgment for the angels and what the Most High has for them, and also as man, the judgment. What about these half man, half angel? Enoch chapter 15, verse 1.
Enoch 15:1. And he answered and said to me, and I heard his voice, Fear not, Enoch, thy righteous man and scribe of righteousness. Approach hither and hear my voice. Verse 2. And go, say to the watchers of heaven, who have sent thee to intercede for them, you should intercede for men, and not men for you.
Right.
Wherefore have ye left?
Angels should have been interceding for us, not sending Enoch when his might empowered us. Can you go intercede and speak to the Most High on our behalf? See, these are them worried and concerned for their judgment that's coming now. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Wherefore have ye left the high, holy, and eternal heaven, and lain with women, and defiled yourself with the daughters of men, and taken to yourselves wives, and done like the children of the earth, and begotten giants as your sons?
It's crystal clear. If it hadn't been what it had, this totally brings it all the way home. These are angels sleeping with men, the daughters of men, and having giants. So here's the Most High bringing forth some level of judgment.
Verse 8. And now the giants who are produced from the spirits and flesh,
Spirit and flesh intermingle, right? Go ahead.
shall be called evil spirits upon the earth, and on the earth shall be their dwelling.
Okay, so this is what we refer to today as these evil spirits that we do battle with. The sons of God, these angelic forces, the fallen angels who came down to sleep with man, are the evil spirits that do battle against us today. Those are the evil spirits. And you see, Most High said, the earth shall be their dwelling. They're subject to the earth. They're not. They must remain up on the earth, where they sit and do battle against and tempt and work evil against man. Go ahead.
Verse 9. Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies, because they are born from men, and from the holy watchers is their beginning and primal origin. They shall be evil spirits on earth, and evil spirits shall they be called. Verse 10. As for the spirits of heaven, in heaven shall be their dwelling. But as for the spirits of the earth, which were born on the earth shall be their dwelling. And the spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy,
Right.
attack, do battle, and work destruction on the earth.
These are those evil spirits. This is more of that evil that these fallen angels doing their evil have inflicted upon man throughout all this time, throughout generations. Their seed is going on to do battle with man and cause trouble, right? Go ahead.
They take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst, and cause offenses. And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men and against the women, because they have proceeded from them.
So these giants are then, after death, free to roam the planet as demons. They control the thoughts of men. They do not eat or drink, but feed off the lustful energy of those they inhabit. That's where we a lot of times have these insatiable desires, whether they're food or otherwise, because these demons are looking to be fed. That's why a level of restraint and a level of denying ourselves and looking to fast. That's why this is a large part of way of removing a lot of these demons. After the death of their host, they shall rise up against them and torment them in their lives, if they live wickedly. So these same spirits that dwell within us, these same demons, when we pass, are the same demons in the spiritual realm waiting there to torment us spiritually. All right. So, is there more proof that some demons function within the earth until the day of judgment? Let's get Matthew chapter 8. Yeah, and you can read of, I'm going to kind of go past it for the sake of time. You can read of these spirits tormenting us in our passing, our physical death in the Testament of Asher, chapter 6, verse 4 through 5.
Which comes out of the 12 patriarchs.
Yeah, which comes out of the 12 patriarchs. This is the book where you can find that. The Testament of Asher, chapter 6, verse 4 and 5. So we're in Matthew's chapter 8, verse 27.
Matthew 8, verse 27. But the men marveled, saying, What manner of man is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him? Verse 28. And when he was come to the other side, into the country of Gergesenes, there met him two possessed with devils, coming out of the tombs, exceeding fierce, so that no man might pass by that way. And behold, they cried out, saying, What have we to do with thee, Yeshua, thou Son of the Most High? Art thou come hither to torment us before the time?
Right, so these are these spirits, these evil spirits that we just spoke of, to and fro in the earth, doing evil to man, where they see Yeshua approach and they say, Are you coming to judge us beforehand? Proof showing that where these spirits are then and now in the earth, doing ill towards men. Go ahead.
Matthew 8 and 30. And there was a good way off from them a herd of many swine feeding. So the devils besought him, saying, If thou cast us out, suffer us to go away into the herd of swine. And said unto them, Go. And when they were come out, they went into the herd of swine. And behold, the whole herd of swine ran violently down a steep place into the sea, and perished in the water.
So these evil spirits are the sons and daughters of these fallen angels, children, are pleading with the Most High, not that their judgment isn't come yet, that their time hasn't come. Please just cast us into those pigs. We won't we won't bother nobody. Just let us go. Just, proof though, showing, scripturally that, backing up the Book of Enoch and all the writings, that they coincide with the Bible. Let's get one last verse here, 2 Corinthians. All right, actually, I've got a couple more, but we'll go to 2 Corinthians. And we'll read these real quick. 2 Corinthians chapter 11, and we'll wrap things up. Just a couple more verses here. Chapter 11, and we'll start at verse 13.
2 Corinthians 11 and 13. For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Christ. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works.
Right, so we see, speaking to how these fallen ones have been relegated to our gods unknowingly. That's why the light has to be shined and to show these things. That they are shown as, angels of light. When these are the destructive, evil spirits, fallen angels, in disobedience to the Most High. So this has to be revealed, so that we don't continue to follow them in ignorance. Let's get Colossians chapter 2. Colossians chapter 2, verse 8.
Colossians 2 and 8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiment of the world, and not after Christ.
And not after Christ. Be spoiled through these philosophies, vain deceits, the philosophy of evolution, the philosophies behind these different schools, institutions, and colleges concerning the Ice Age and the dinosaur and the prehistoric times and the Neanderthal, you know, and all these philosophies of men versus the truth of the Most High. Go ahead.
Verse 9. For in him dwelleth all the fullness of the Godhead bodily. Verse 10. And ye are complete in him, which is the head of all principality and power.
One last verse, Ezekiel 13. One last verse, and we'll wrap up. Ezekiel chapter 13, and we'll start at verse 9.
Ezekiel 13, verse 9. And my hand shall be upon the prophets that see vanity, and that divine lies. They shall not be in the assembly of my people, neither shall they be written in the writing of the house of Israel. Neither shall they enter into the land of Israel, and ye shall know that I am the Most High, your power.
Speaking to that vanity, speaking to those lies, right? And the misinformation, where we want to, you know, this information is put out there to deceive us and have us unknowingly and unawares worship Satan and his minions and these evil spirits. So we have to be awakened and know and understand and see these things for what they are as we return to the true and living God of all gods. Right? So, you know, that this lesson was important in that it helps us understand and even more so return to him and deny this evil that has been given to us, you know, and a lot of times without us knowing and understanding. So I hope through the Spirit of the Most High that this was helpful in the name of Ahiah through his son Yeshaya. I hope that it was edifying, and with that we'll say shalom and thank you.
Shalom.